Good morning, it's the 16th of March and I'm standing on the entrance to Bangor. I'm just off the Belfast Bangor Road and I'm standing in front of Bangor Abbey. I've been here before and videoed it before. Founded 558 AD. This isn't the original building, of course. Founded by St Comgall, and it's one of the most important seats of learning in Ireland. At one stage there were 3,000 monks attached to this abbey. Now, that's some number. It was an austere place of learning, very plain, very simple, very scant food. It was second only to Armagh. And two of its most famous sons were St Columbanus and Gall. And they travelled throughout Europe and set up monasteries in Luxeuil and Bobbio and Breganz. And it is rumoured that St Patrick himself once rested here, and on waking, looking down the valley, he saw angels. So it's sometimes called Valley of Angels. The most celebrated writing from Bangor Abbey dates from the 7th century, and it's the Antiphonary, I think it is, and it's a collection of hymns and prayers and poems, and it's now found in the Ambrosian Library in Milan. It was written about 602 to 691 AD. Oh dear. And Bangor Abbey, sited as it was on Bangor Bay, which was easily accessible, was prone to Viking attacks, and it was burned again and again and again. The main body of the church here dates from about 1830 to 40. The tower is actually 14th century. And the steeple is 1693. So there you are. Let's see what it says in the notice board. I've got the famous Bangor Bell, which is in Bangor Museum, and there's what it looked like originally. And I've actually come to see the graveyard. Never walked around the graveyard. Well, not at the back anyway. So I'm just going to do that. And most of these graves dating from the 1880s onwards. There's one here, and I've noticed a date on it, 1742. That's the oldest one I've come across. The church building actually isn't all that big. For an abbey, I would have expected it to be an awful lot bigger, but no, it's not. And this is, I'm just outside the graveyard again. This is a ginormous representation of the Bangor bell, used to call monks to meals and stuff like that. And just over there is Malachy's wall, and this is the oldest part of the Bangor Abbey that remains. The Bangor Bell is in the Bangor Museum, and this is the sculpture Fluctus Angelorum, Wave of Angels. Stands on the site of St Comgall monastery. Based on the original 9th century Bangor bell, now housed in North Down Museum. Shaped, the surface of the sculpture is shaped like the texture of the ocean waves, representing the importance of the sea to those in the abbey. It's talking about St Columbanus there. The sculpture was fabricated in bronze plate by sculptor Holguin Lawrence using ancient repose process, commissioned by Ards District Council. 2016. There you go. Now let's go in by the side gate here. And then there's another education board. Here you stand on ground that has witnessed Christian worship for 1500 years. In those days the abbey would have been all built wooden. So that's talking about the abbey now. First stone church here built by Saint Malachy. And that's pointing where I am, and those are all the significant places as regards Patrick. And there's a grave here of John Edward Simpson located before the side gate, and I'm at the side gate, and he was an assistant surgeon on the Titanic, but I haven't found it. I haven't found his grave, unfortunately. Let's dander down and see what we can see. Here's an oldish one. 1798. No, 1790. Oh dear. Can't read now. I'm thinking of the 78 rebellion. Oh, certainly well filled. Sir John Newell Jordan, CCMC, and a whole lot of other things. British Minister to China. Another body interred in Auckland. There's a very full headstone. And here's another notice board. This is great. Here's Sir John Newell Jordan. I'm just after looking at his grave. And here's Wesley G. Little, founder and editor of the North Down Herald. Robin, or North Down Herald. Robin, as he was known, is described as a man of rare natural gifts, responsible for a number of novels, most noted being Betsy Gray, or The Hearts of Down, story of Betsy Gray murdered at the Battle of Ballynahinch. And there's a Cleland Rose. Cleland and Rose. Cleland is a town in Lanarkshire, from where the Cleland family came to Ireland, and they were related to William Wallace, the famous hero of Scotland. The North Wall grave holds John Cleland, once Provost of Bangor, and Patrick Cleland of Ballymcguire. And there's Clelands at Dundonald as well. And there we have John Edward Simpson, ship's surgeon, only son of James Simpson, qualified as medicine at Queen's, and a self-sacrificing hero. I should be able to find that with that distinctive headstone. I'm going to go back and look for that. And then we've got Nicholson and Steele and Nicholson, major landowners in Ballou and Ballymcguire town lands. Family seat was Ballou House. Captain George Orwell, an Ulster privateer of the and he ran the Amazon, and her master, Captain, are commemorated in the family tombstone, containing numerous nautical symbols. A verse on the headstone tells the story of the wreck of the Amazon, and a gun from the Amazon is sitting outside, and I have videoed it before. James McKee, noted benefactor to Bangor. Oh, the McKee clock. Reverend Richard Benny. And then we've got Archibald Wilson, lived in Conlig and was hanged at Bangor Pier along with two others for insurgency on June 20th, 1798, aged 26. He reportedly went to the gallows on his bare knees, protesting his innocence and signing psalms. The verse that can be read on the headstone warns everyone to prepare for death, so we will meet them in heaven. A short flavour given below. There you go. And we've got Dean Edward Mcguire, responsible for building the Bangor Parish Church in Hamilton Road. Son's grave also here, killed in action in 1900 at the Battle of Diamond Hill, Pretoria. With no fear of heights, he was able to lay his hands on the topmost stone of the church spire when it was completed. Reverend Alexander Patton, born Mairo. And then we've got the Carmichael family. The oldest member is James Carmichael, died 1775, aged 70, and we've got later generations were buried in the Lisle. So, that's good stuff. Now to hunt for that Titanic Grave, which should be back up here. Let's have another look at it. It's got a circle. And here it is. I walked past it, of course. His only son, John Edward Simpson, ship's surgeon, Titanic, lost 15th of April. And you can see where the iron railings have been cut off. They were cut off in the Second World War. And the British government told everybody that this was going to help the war effort, you know, collecting up iron. And they said it was going to, you know, make tanks and things. Well, actually, it was all scrapped because it wasn't of good enough quality. But they kept on taking it from grave headstones and railings and whatnot, because it helped with morale. It's wonderful what the government tell you. It's actually a load of nonsense. Look at the way the face of that grave is just being eroded off. An awful lot of the grave headstones have these sort of semicircular. There's another one there. Here lieth the body of Letitia Lamont, who departed this life 1785, aged 16. Also Jean Lamont, who departed this life 1798. And she was only 22. Well, there's another semicircular. Here's a clatter more. You see that? I'm a bit surprised. The old root tree trunk. It's an interesting headstone. Look at this circular one. That's very attractive, that. famous elephants here in that grave. And a lot of Hamiltons came to Ulster away in the 1600s. So their descendants are all over the place. They're major landowners, the original ones. Of course, they pushed other people. They pushed the likes of Con O'Neill off his lands. There's the Mcguire grave. That was noted. I presume all the important people are up in this, slotted into the wall here. There's that sundial type half semicircular top again. Very. Body of James Carmichael, departed this life 1777. And there's a crest, the Miller crest. That's very nice. (1962). The elements have done some damage in here. Unbelievable. Whew. A lot of these graves have collapsed. Been pushed over. Untitled Grave. Nice Celtic cross there. Sanders Hamilton. Departed this life on the 11th of June, tucked in, 1798. You see this on the top of an awful lot of graves. This stone claims so many graves. Left the body of John Lackey, husband to undernamed Jane, who died January 1762, aged 91. All crushed in at the end. Here lieth the body of I.N.C. Lackey, who died 1732, age 65. And here's looks like a crest, is it? Don't know. another grave of interest down below, but you can't read it. Now this is an interesting grave. What's this? Is this the Knights of Malta? And they're saying Abbot, 25th of December 1800. And there's a family crest down here. And here's another Patterson up here. Not quite sure. There's a number of cotton references to Cottown on some of these graves. And here lies John M. Kittrick, born 1802, died 1858. A wise counsellor, or something, a friend of the poor, an honest man. Well, you can't get much better than that. And here lieth the body of James Kennedy, mariner late of Bangor, who was drowned at Grey Point, 9th of April 1816, aged 31. Death culled the keenest of his darts. So many stories. So many sad stories, I'm afraid. So many unknown stories. And it really is a hidden garden, a place of quiet reflection. Part of this life, 1792. Who were all these people? This is the gun of the Amazon that went down in Bangor Bay, and I think it was Captain Conville. I didn't find his grave in here. Cannon comes from the Ulster privateer, the Amazon, wrecked off Ballyholme Bay, 1780, with all hands. There you go. And there's the name, Rose Cleland, turning up again. There you go. I would have liked to have found that grave, but I couldn't find it. And I'm right at the back of the Abbey now. And look at what I've found. This is James Malachy, who gave Bangor's seafront the Malachy clock, donated 200 notes for it back in the day. That's just quite a considerable sum of money. And here's Captain Joseph Ferguson, lost at sea, 25th of December 1895. An awful lot of sea tragedies. Look at that decorative grave headstone, isn't it wonderful? Age 2. Age 2. That's just dreadful. So sad. And this must be one of the oldest graves. Died September 1702. Bangor Abbey graveyard. I've never seen a grave like this, sunken down in like that. It's got all sorts going on here. I can't read that. Oh, this is the Captain Colville grave that I was searching for. And it's all broken up and somebody's put it back together again. Ah, that's class. I'll go back and I'll look at the notice board. And there it is. Before the boys put it back together again. Ulster Privateer, the Amazon and her master Captain George Colville are commemorated by family tombstone containing numerous nautical symbols. A verse in the headstone tells the story of the wreck of the Amazon during a fierce storm in Ballyholme Bay, 25th of February 1780, when he lost his life. And all hands were lost as well. And there's a wee poem. Born to a course of manly action free, he dauntless trod the fluctuating sea. Lashed by the winds and waves, arose and bore our ships in tattered fragments to the shore. There he flaked, surge oppressed my darkening sight, and there my eyes forever lost the light. Ah, my goodness. Glad I found that. So I'll give the last word to that wee poem.